Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to many of us. Welcome to CEO Talk, a series conducted by CXO TV, where a CEO narrates a story and share a learning and success of building a great brand. So today, our guest is Gopal Shukla. Gopal is basically the CEO of a joint venture between IIT Mumbai and Washington University in St. Louis. Gopal has at least 2 decades of experience and is responsible for overall success in the joint venture between IIT Bombay and Washington University, St. Louis. He's a person who's leading the development and execution of a long term strategy of the joint venture with the goal of creating a world class leaders through global education. Gopal also teaches startup consulting and MBA course in IIT Bombay, Washington University. Welcome, Gopal.
Thanks, Anuj. Thanks for welcoming. Yeah.
Okay. So pleasure is ours. And Gopal, you have elaborate experience, across the technology and education sector. And you have been associated with several organizations like TCS, Future Group, Monster, Car Deco, and so on and so forth. So, what are the three things which actually excite you most about your career till now?
So it's a really good question, Anuj. My journey has been, I'm very fortunate, I would say, that I got opportunity to work in diverse sectors so far in my career. And as you asked, so many things excites me, but you mentioned about three which I enjoy. So first of all, my very recent experience, or you could say from past 6 7 years, these are the three things I really enjoy. Number one is entrepreneurship. So while I was working, I was also very entrepreneurial in terms of my overall approach in any of the companies I have worked. So the number one is I enjoy entrepreneurship. Number two, guiding new age disruptive startups. Since I am in the startup ecosystem since 6 years, so and I love meeting those founders who really want to change the world through their ideas, through their products, through their startup. So second thing is I love working with them. I love guiding them so that our country can have a better way forward. The third thing is, as I am into my current role, which I enjoy so much, is building the future change agent through the education. And I'm so fortunate that that I am contributing towards building the nation by providing this global education of IIT Bombay Washu, because the class, if I have a batch of people coming from public sector, government, corporate, and entrepreneurship sitting in the same class, they make so much difference when they go outside because they are actually the impactful leaders and are managing a very large setup which is connected with millions of lives. So these are the three things I enjoy, Anuj: guiding startups, building future change agents through education, and entrepreneurship. I hope I am.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Gopal. I think you just rightly pointed out, entrepreneurship is something which is very important, and that's what you have been working around. And thank you so very much for elaborating that. Wanted to ask you was, since you talk about IIT Mumbai and the collaboration the IIT Mumbai had with Washington University, it's a joint venture. So, where you have been positioning to generate the leaders and foster more like entrepreneurship. But let me understand, why is it that why you picked Washington University? Why not any other?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Why how this MBA emerged through the JV? So it's not the relationship between IIT Bombay and Washington University is from since this program had started. No, so Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay and Washington University in St. Louis are two large, very well established and prestigious universities. and they are associated with each other into various research projects since 2009, not from 2015. And the institution, these two institutions are members of McDowell's Academy, Global Energy and Environmental Partnership, a consortium of sustainability minded university and corporations. So the McDowell's International Scholar Academy, so the IIT Bombay, both were the institution member of that, and since there the relationship started, and slowly the leaders emerged out to have why only onto certain area of research, and they came out to have, okay, let's have a very impactful uh, program in India which can build the nation. It's kind of a nation building exercise if both the university can do it, and being an IIT Bombay, a very very prestigious institute, could never settle less than Washington University. So they decided to have a global education coming to train the leadership of the country to come and do it together. So that's how it started in 2015 under Director Kakar and Mark Wrighton from uh, Washington University. They both came together and did that.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much. I think you guys have been working more around building the nation and also the CXOs of future.
That's right. So
That's something.
while probably I would leap here saying that leaders are being built. I think everyone is talking about it, that we are building leaders. While we say that we are building leader because we are attracting leaders to this MBA program, and we are building change agents to the society, change agents to the country. So say, for example, Anuj comes from media, and he's trained 18 months on how he can make the last mile impact to the people's life. Is that what we are trying to do here?
Okay, I do remember, during our times, especially, there was a narrative, where you can say like, you can build up the skills, but you cannot build up the attitude. So, what you have to say, like, is it that the same narrative is still there at the MBA campus, or is it like the narratives have changed over the period?
Yeah, so I think attitude matters a lot while you are full with knowledge, but when while you have so much to know, but you don't want to do anything, then of course both of the things matters. And so now things are not binary. Both of it are required now. To now the things are changing, so the attitude and the knowledge both has to go together now.
Okay. So while the pandemic has forced the organization, across industry to revisit their business model, what are the major transformation you're seeing in the education segment?
Oh, I think while I know that a lot of industries got impacted, but I think uh, businesses and the leaders were smart enough to navigate. And education sector has been benefited tremendously during the pandemic because of the technology, the way it has evolved for education sector. Initially, I remember it was so much difficulty that, okay, what now? Now the pandemic, everything is paused, schools are closed, colleges are closed, no delivery. So it was a learning impact and disruption, because we have a classes every month. It was a disruption how to do that. So then the whole education industry has evolved through technology in a way that the two three types of delivery started happening. So one, the whole thing went online. The technology made it possible to reach out to larger audience. Number one, technology made it possible what was paused to to at least start to continue that immediately. So I think it disrupted us fully. Our professors were not ready. Not only the IIT Bombay professors, but I'm talking about the global. I was talking to a lot of American universities also during that time, and everybody were like, "No, we are not prepared to deliver online," because it was so sudden. And slowly I remember now the professors who were not ready to deliver online. Today, they are more than happy and capable. So they have developed their skill set. That the one way this whole pandemic thing has disrupted their own, they've acquired a new skill set to deliver. Plus, technology made it possible. Initially, the delivery was to the people who could make it to the campus. Now it is available to the people who are sitting in the rural also. So I think it was a positive disruption in the education sector.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I think you just pointed out about the technology, the disruption down there, and we can see, even a lot of ad tech actually came up during this period.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think somewhere down the line, Gopal, when it comes to the classroom experience, do you still have this perception that classroom experience definitely has an edge over and above the virtual one?
Well, so there are two things how you can see, Anuj. And one is yes, your peer-to-peer learning gets impacted in this way.
Okay.
Yeah. So while me and Anuj sitting across the computer like this, the warmth of the body language, the knowledge sharing, a lot of other things, given the timeline over the coffee and all that, what you can do, the peer learning gets compromised. Is very clearly been seen in the classes and been reported by the students that that is getting compromised. But yes, on the ease of being at home, at workplace, at least you are able to have that education there. So yes, superiority, I would not say both have their its own beauty. One is the peer learning gets compromised if you're doing it through the technology to a certain extent. But imagine only 50 or 70 or 100 people sitting in the class through the peer learning, but you're able to do it with 1,000 people outside. So scalability is on the technology delivery side, and of course superiority of learning in the classroom. I have a belief, and I have my student talking about it. It's not my voice.
Okay, that's a good one. So peer learning is something which you feel is something which is not there. And apart from that, do you also
There,
feel that networking is something which is again missing when you get into this
yeah, so
space?
again, peer learning, networking, if you're having over the coffee, knowing Anuj more than
Yeah.
more than from the other side of the screen. If Anuj would have had this interview in person here, and we would have had 2 hours of meeting early, and while the time I would have dropped you until the gate of the institution, we would have built a very different bond. So that may be the missing element. At certain extent it gets addressed to know you, but building the bond, learning, networking, to a certain extent gets compromised.
So IIT Mumbai has a hybrid model, or is it just like a
So now
classroom?
it's the classroom for IITB Washu. We are still doing hybrid on the only cases when you are not able to make it into certain medical conditions or
Okay.
certain unavoidable conditions, and we are doing this hybrid. And hybrid was launched much before in the US. Because of we are a global JV, we immediately adopted the hybrid way of delivering this MBA. So it's up to you. So right now classes are going on. There are around 38 people in the class and one or two online. So it depends on what condition you are in, but then in the next module you'll have to come back to the class and do it. So
Okay. So I think we are again back on the era of classroom setup. That's what I can see, and that's what I've been hearing all across.
yeah, yeah.
So with this, I'll just move to the next question. So Gopal, what are the new opportunity, technology opportunities bringing, to the education segment, and how institutions are gearing themselves to strengthen the Make in India initiative?
So basically, educate the technology. So make in India is mostly education is how it's contributing. You're training leaders. They are learning through. So the pedagogy basically in IIT Bombay Washu program, the professors have global experience. They come with global technologies used in the way they deliver the programs. A lot of assessments happens. A lot of simulations we do through technology. So like we do Mount Everest, like we do Markstrat, like we do a lot of other tech driven simulations and exercises in the class. So those are the new type of products being created by tech companies, which is being used in education, and then adopted by the professors to improve the learning experiences of the students. And everything which you learn while, say, for example, you're doing a mark trade of the product which is going to be launched, you have your you if you have the simulated environment where you can go and experience that what kind of problem you're going to face in the market, you can simulate it, can see the results, and then you are ready that, hey, look, these are some five challenges I'm going to get it through the competition, through the volume, through the production, and all those things, and then you are ready to go. So once you're ready, of the make in India is all about how well you are going to grow in the homeland. And if you know your customer, know your products in a simulated environment through the technology understanding, you go back and ready to do much better work than going and having a uncharted territory, and most likely to have more challenges and most likely to fail. While when you have all this done, you are ready to at least have a ray of hope to be successful.
Okay. Okay. And since I understand, since you teach the startup and you've been fostering the startup ecosystem, and so let me understand this thing. Since you've been teaching startup, but if you look at the recent scenario, where startup has already laid off close to 77,000 jobs, globally, and India saw close to 25,000 layoffs in the 9 months.
Mm.
And we are also being termed as the third largest startup ecosystem. So in these scenario, how you still have been navigating and you've been teaching to your student? I'm sure they must be coming up with a lot of queries, because when we do these kind of sessions, I'm sure you've been talking more about nation building, creating jobs. But on the other hand, we can see that these kind of layoffs is something which is very discouraging. So how you have been managing those queries at your end?
Yeah, so I think in startup consulting, what we cover is to be help. So how entrepreneurship happens? You are an entrepreneur. You've seen some problem, and you come up with the problem statement and say that, hey, Gopal, I feel that this is the society's problem, and I want to solve that through the technology or through products offering. And when they come up with the problem statement, I help them provide the solution, and that's the module which we teach here, and it's experiential learning. So my EMBA students, along with the real time startups which is incubated in Sign, and these consultant EMBA who are very senior folk in the industry, come and they walk 3-4 months with startup founders and the leadership team to solve that problem and provide them a solution. So, about this layoff and all that, and the fundraise issues which you have been recently hearing all over, my experience is little different. I would say still the startups who are into the seed fund round or early stage startup investments, that I don't think so has slowed down. Uh, the startup which is at early stage seed round and all those things, they are getting it. But the only thing what I've realized which has changed is now the investors are scrutinizing it more. Investors are becoming now conscious investors to invest the money because of this global impact of this war and economic slowdown and inflation and all that. They're just becoming conscious, but I don't think so there is less investment so far this year as well compared to last year. So I will just that in terms of quantum of money, early age startups raised a record $8.4 billion last year, while over 1.4 billion has already been raised till June this year.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So that's a data from Traction. And the total amount of funding raised by all startups in India till July this year was 18.6 billion.
Okay.
Last year
Okay.
is 41 billion in total. So you will see it's not much different. So while it is not so much what we think is happening, we may be a little bit better than over last year in terms of funding. That's investors are, of course, it has to be a little conscious and scrutinized way to invest, and that's the consciousness has just arisen because of this global war impact and economic perceptual, you can call it, or a real economic slowdown which is happening. So that's my take. I remember the startup was really great business, have got some traction, are getting fund even today.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. You talk about the numbers, and you talk about the figures in terms of the inflow of the investment which is pouring into the Indian market. I'm sure this will going to be much better, I think, in the years
Yeah.
to come.
So,
So with this, I just moved on to a follow-up question, Gopal. So many of the market experts are talking about the long and bit of funding winters for startup due to the limited visibility on when the things will stabilize due to factors which are basically the microeconomics factors, which include your inflationary pressures, wars, and fall in the stock market. So where do you see the startup ecosystem moving now, especially and how these startup embrace for these challenges?
yeah, so I think my advice is to remain motivated during this time, and I think government, investors, and startup needs to work together to come out of the situation, because everybody is facing it, and we everybody's in the same boat. As I again said, the problem is more towards the startups who are into Series C, D, B, while early startups are still have similar traction like last year. I would My suggestion to the startups or the founders who are anyways they're doing great, are into B, C, C, D series, they need to simply focus on optimizing the business model and the profit, because of course the investment winter is of course coming in, and it's a macroeconomics impact. It's not that anybody can really would have avoided after this war and other things. So they have to work together, including government. So everybody has to work together to come out of it.
So if you look at your alumni, so what do you feel like? Are they getting more into the SaaS kind of a thing because it's IIT Mumbai, and then you have a MBA program? So is it more into the SaaS, or is it something all, yeah, like
You're
all
talking,
across?
you're talking about the type of students coming
Yes,
in.
the type of the startup I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, the type of startups. So startups are of very, very different type. Someone is opening maybe a prop tech. So someone is opening a pharma. Someone is opening a health tech. So I think varied experienced people come here and have a very different types of startups. So the class is mostly dominated by technology, participants coming on CXOs and C minus one participants. So,
okay.
so 20 to 30% class are entrepreneurs. So they drive the entrepreneurship mindset while having a peer learning. And I remember in couple of batches, there are 3 or 4 startup came out uh, during these 18 months time. So all sort of startups, I used to say, are coming out of this class.
Okay. And apart from that, I also wanted to ask you was like, since I'm sure you must be maintaining some kind of analytics in terms of your alumni and so on and so forth. So while mapping it up, is it that I mean, since definitely IIT Mumbai itself means your genesis is technology. So is it that more of the starter from IIT Mumbai is more around the technology, or is it all across? How is it like? What your analytics say?
It is all sorts of startup, but mostly technology solutions to the particular problem.
Uh-huh.
So that's where I'm coming. Say, for example, you are facing a problem which is so. I will tell you one startup which is coming is a startup into construction field.
Okay.
Construction fields is while in terms of building material and other things, and the way it has been delivered is manual intensive, but finding the right type of architects, finding a right type of manpower, finding a right type of suppliers and all that's still a challenge. You know someone, then you call and get the supplies done. So how many times you go and find a really experts to do that until unless you're a professional. So a platform, a tech platform is being built around to make all these things available at one place. So while the problem is non-technical, disruption is technical.
Uh-huh.
That's what it is.
Okay. And apart from that, I also wanted to ask you is, can you also talk about, the top five focus areas over the next, 2 to 4 years of IIT Mumbai, Bombay? I'm sorry.
It is my focus areas technically, where what we look forward to do in next 2 to 4 years is that we would like to focus on optimized academic excellence for
Okay.
every executive student coming into IIT Bombay Washu. You're focused on creating widespread and profound academic reach within the country. We look forward creating and nurturing more and more entrepreneurs to change India's future. That's, I think, the key where we are completely aligned with the vision of our great Prime Minister. And I am very strong believer of the only uh, thing which can change India is now entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs needs to be celebrated. Is I am very strongly coming out and saying this. Adopt future focused strategy in education. That's where and fourth focus area, and tech driven delivery is my fifth focus. So these are five things I would like to focus for next 2 to 5 years.
Wow. So I love these five tenets which you just mentioned, and definitely I agree with you. I think these are some very important points which will be fostering more of the entrepreneurship in India, and will also take the vision of our honorable Prime Minister around the Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Yes.
And so with this, I just come down to the last question, of our discussion, which is that what is your outlook, for the education and the startup industry in India over the couple of years now, the next couple of years?
So understand, what is the startup ecosystem? Who are the players, right? Where do you get this built? How this whole thing starts? So I think 4 or 5 key elements are the stakeholders of the startups. And number one, the creator. Where is the creator? So the creators are found in these universities, not only IIT Bombay. I think the beauty what our honorable Prime Minister has Atmanirbhar Bharat has created among the Indians are, and the buzz of entrepreneurship is everywhere. So small to small schools. I mean, my last talk at Indo-American Chamber of Commerce was focused entrepreneurship most on start from the school. The fire, the lit. It should not be in the engineering college. Should be focused from when they are in 10th, 12th. And that should continue. By the time they will be successful early, because if they start to fail at the stage at that school level, they would keep getting mature, and they would be, see Jepto, the 19-year-old have
Yeah,
created.
absolutely.
So I think that is the area which I think has to be mapped through the education. And the foundation level, if entrepreneurship is being experienced and taught and exercised, the more and more time you fail, you will be a very successful leader when you are ready to actually succeed. So that's, you should have an experiment cushion, during the school time, is my personal opinion. And that is where I say that education is a super duper important. So the creator is the schools and colleges and the universities, and of course IIT, IIMs, and other great institutions which are building the nation. They have to be super focused on building this. Second is where which has a very critical and important role is the people who are trying to create those startup and helping is like chartered accountants, lawyers, and other people who are supporters to the ecosystem. Third is a critical VCs, investors,
Yeah.
angels. They have to keep remaining excited about what is coming out new, and they are a lot of my VC uh, friends who keeps coming to guide this class. They keep saying that something new, something sparking, a fresh idea. So these are the third very strong pillar of the startup ecosystem. So I think put together all these completes the ecosystem, and but it starts from somewhere, and that's the major contributor to that. Startups are those education institutes which are producing the entrepreneurs. So I see it's a very critical role for all of us who are educating the kids and educating the executives. It is our responsibility to create and foster an environment of entrepreneurship, and provide them all the tools and technologies and guide them to succeed. At least try, even if you fail, is what I say.
Absolutely, Gopal. I definitely agree with you. I think that's what IIT Mumbai, or Bombay has been doing up. You have been fostering, entrepreneurship and backed up with a lot of innovation around it. And that's what the generation or the future entrepreneurs require. Thank you so very much, Gopal. With this, we just come to the end of this episode. Thanks for the insightful session, and we really had a pleasure interacting with you. Thank you so very much.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.